Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day. It's CorrelatioNation. Sorry I wasn't able to get with you guys earlier. I was really hoping to get in here before 11 and touch base on the early slate and go over that. I still plan on doing so, just so that way at the end of the day we can go over and recap it. So, anyways, with that being said, I'll go ahead and kick off. The first game we had was the Mets in Cincinnati, and that's Jacob deGrom facing Robert Stephenson. And Jacob deGrom has very good stats over the past month. He has a 10.64 K9 with a 3.82 ERA. And again, he's facing Cincinnati, which is a pretty respectable team. So I don't know that I would attack them a whole lot, but he is a guy that you could probably use here and there. However, Robert Stephenson, he has very good stats over the past month, and he holds a 10.31 K9 with a 1.96 ERA, which is extremely good. I don't know exactly how many games he started, but those stats really stick off the page at me. And he's facing the Mets, and the Mets strike out at a 21.2% K rate. So they're a team you could definitely attack, especially just when you look at their offense. They don't look very good, and they are a team that I would be willing to attack. And then we have the White Sox in Minnesota, and Miguel Gonzalez for the White Sox has a 6.98 K9 with a 3.34 ERA, and so pretty decent ERA. And he's facing Bartolo Colon. Bartolo has a 5.08 K9 with a 3.21 ERA, and both of these guys don't have very good strikeout stuff. Bartolo's old. He's just kind of a shell of his old self, really. I mean, he's still getting by. He's had some pretty decent games lately, but just the strikeouts really aren't there. But they both don't give up a lot of runs. And White Sox are not an offense I'm scared of. That doesn't mean that I want to use Cologne, but Minnesota is an offense that I think if you look further into Miguel Gonzalez, if you see that he's really not a good pitcher and his ERA is just in the past few games and it's not really who he is, then I think Minnesota is definitely a team you want to look at. And then the next game we have Cole Hamels for the Rangers facing off with Colin McHugh of the Houston Astros. And Cole Hamels has a 5.13 K9 with a 3.24 ERA, and Colin McHugh has an 8.69 K9 with a 3.41 ERA. I do like Colin McHugh. I mean, his stats are right there. They're decent, almost a 9 K9, and as well under 4 ERA. Texas, they strike out a lot. They strike out more than almost any other team, and at the same time, they hit a lot of home runs. So he's a guy that can get blown up. I mean, you don't want to hang your hat on the guy and put him in every one of your lineups, because Texas is definitely a team that could blow this guy up. So Cole Hamels is a guy that I think you should have in your list of options for pitching for the day, especially in the early slate. Then we have Kenta Maeda for the Dodgers facing off with Zach Greinke in Arizona. Kenta has a 10.43 K9 with a 2.76 ERA. Great numbers. Arizona, they strike out a lot. Good offense. It's kind of like I said yesterday. He's a guy that you could use, and he's a guy that can be blown up. But I would definitely look at him. I mean, in Arizona, they strike out 24.2% over the past 2 weeks. And this is going to change every day. I mean, it's just in the past 14 days, so every day is a new day, and the stats from the day, 14 days ago moving forward is no longer a part of the equation. So the K rate over the past 2 weeks will change regularly, and I said this earlier. It's really what have you done for me lately. Teams change quick. They could go from being one of the hottest teams in the league to one of the worst. Just look at the Astros. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but I'm just saying their offense is really not clicking like it was earlier in the season. So anyways, Zach Greinke, 9.9 K9 with a 4.5 ERA, and the Dodgers are a good offense. They've been not as hot lately. There, you know what I mean. The streak has slowed down, definitely stopped. That's the way I'd put it. The streak is no longer. But Zach Greinke is a good pitcher, and the Dodgers, these strike out at a 20.6 K rate. So, I mean, they're a team you could probably attack a little bit. I don't know that I would. I'd probably I'll just move on. I mean, there's better options on the slate. So, next we have Marco Estrada of Toronto Blue Jays facing off with Jeremy Hellickson of the Baltimore Orioles. And Marco has a 7.42 K9 with a 4.45 ERA. Not great. Not either of them are really great. Not terrible, but not great. And Baltimore is a pretty potent offense at times, streaky, but didn't get the job done. So I don't know that I would use Estrada as a pitcher. And Jeremy Hellickson, he has a 6.07 K9 with a 5.46 ERA. And on paper, he's a guy that I'd be willing to attack just by looking at his stats. I mean, his K9's not awful, but it's only 6, and his ERA is almost 6. So definitely attackable. Look for Toronto to do something, and yeah, I actually have Toronto on one of my offenses that I would definitely use, at least look into. And so moving forward, we got Eduardo Rodriguez facing CC Sabathia in New York. And Eduardo, he has a 9.10 K9 with a 4.25 ERA, both respectable numbers. Again, I think when I'm looking at it and I'm really looking at the ERA, anytime you have a guy that has anywhere around 4.4, you can find a way to attack him. If he's only got like a 4 ERA and he's facing a good offense, and he doesn't have an extremely high K9, that shows that he doesn't strike a lot of people out, and he gives up runs. So, I mean, if he's facing a really good offense, it's going to happen. There's going to be runs scored. In most games, there's going to be runs scored anyways, but you definitely have your pitchers that are better than most hitters, and they don't get blown up a lot. They may only get 1, 2, and sometimes no runs. So, I think Eduardo's like decent. He's not a guy on my list at all. So he doesn't really. Well, actually, he is on my list, but New York's only striking out at an 18.6% right now K rate. So not a team that I really want to attack. They can definitely put up runs. They were really hot earlier in the season, and if Aaron Judge would just come back around, I think they'd kind of be back to their old selves. So anyways, CC Sabathia has a 6.55 K9 with a 4.5 ERA, and he's facing off Boston. And Boston is a team that they look pretty good. You know, last 2 weeks he put up 60 runs, 16 home runs. CC Sabathia does not have good stats over the past month, so Boston's a team that you could look to stack against CC Sabathia. And then the next game, we have Ben Lively facing off Despain in Miami. Ben Lively has a 9.82 K9 with a 6.55 ERA. Again, high ERA. Somebody that, you know, Miami, they're kind of middle of the road strikeouts. They're not a high strikeout team. I mean, they can strike out. I don't look at Ben Lively as a guy that I'm worried about. Miami's got a strong enough offense that I'll be looking to use Miami. I mean, they put up 67 runs and 20 home runs in the past 2 weeks. They're definitely a team that I would be looking to stack against Ben Lively. However, that high K9, you never know. I mean, it could be, like, I know just the other day, and I don't really recall who it was. I can kind of go back. Oh, just yesterday, Rafael Montero. It's kind of the same thing. High K9, high ERA. Wasn't a guy I was worried about, and you know, he pitched a gem. So you really never know. But he's not a guy that I'm like, oh yeah, I got to use Ben Lively. Just not there. However, Miami does strike out in the past 2 weeks at a 20.7 K rate. So give or take. Ben Lively is not on my list of pitchers that I'm going to use. And then we have Despain with a 4.08 K9 and a 2.55 ERA facing Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a team you can attack. However, Despain doesn't look particularly well other than his 2.55 ERA. So I don't look for Philadelphia to put up a lot of runs. But they've been a pretty strong offense of late. I think you could look into that matchup a little bit more. I know that I have them marked down as a team that I would at least, like I just said, I would look into them. In the past 2 weeks, they've scored 72 runs with 23 home runs. So they've been good. I mean, they strike out a lot, over the season, but they've kind of came around here lately. And I think that's Ryan Hoskins, or the rookie that was called up. He's looked really well. I mean, I think we all heard his name. I think we all seen what he's been doing. He's hit, I think I don't even know. He's hit like 11 home runs or something like that in like less than 14 games, I believe. So dude's a boss. It's like Aaron Judge all over again, it looks like. But anyways, next we have Sean Newcomb facing off Kyle Hendricks in Chicago. And Sean Newcomb has a 9.57 K9 with a 4.10 ERA. And just like yesterday, I know the Cubs, they strike out a fair amount. They correlate differently today than they did yesterday. Yesterday, I knew that they were a team that could get runs. I didn't use them. I used a couple players here and there as one-offs. But today they correlate. They are one of my top stacks for the day. Them and Miami. Miami is a top stack, and Chicago Cubs a top stack for the day. I would definitely look to use Chicago against Sean Newcomb. Sean Newcomb is a pretty good pitcher. Young guy, I'm sure he'll only get better. He has a 9.57 K9 with a 4.10 ERA. Those are both very good numbers. But I just think that they're such a good offense. They're so explosive that they could put up a lot of runs again, just like they did yesterday. But don't be surprised if Sean Newcomb has a decent day himself. He's really shown to strike people out, and the Cubs have also shown to strike out a lot. So it could go either way, but I would use Chicago quite a bit. Then we have Kyle Hendricks, and he has an 8.8 K9 with a 2.64 ERA facing the Braves. The Braves, they are a team that you know what I mean? Kyle Hendricks looks good. But the Braves only have, they were striking in the past 2 weeks. Their K rate is the lowest in the MLB, 16.5%. I would be a little wary on using Hendricks. He may be able to hold them to a few runs or something like that. But I don't know. They're just getting a lot of contact, and Freddie Freeman is a great hitter, and I think he could hit some bombs. So Kyle Hendricks is a guy you could look at, but personally, I won't be looking at him a whole lot. I'll keep him in my options. He's a guy, like I said, he correlates in a lot of areas, so he's there, but he's just not really doing it for me. So you guys feel free to look into that and use it if you want. Next we have Gio Gonzalez of the Washington Nationals facing off with Zach Davies of Milwaukee Brewers, and they are in Milwaukee. Gio Gonzalez only has a 6.84 K9, so it's not a huge strikeout rate over the past month, but he boasts a 1.03 ERA, which is superb. And then Zach Davies, he has a 5.29 K9 with a 1.95 ERA. Both these guys have tremendous ERAs, but they're in Milwaukee. You can hit home runs there. Milwaukee, they hit a lot of home runs, but Gio Gonzalez is one of my favorite pitchers on the slate. I know versus splits, he's ranked third on my list, and Milwaukee strikes out at a 28.8 rate over the past 2 weeks. So even though he's not a huge strikeout guy, I think the team makes that up. the offense. These strikeouts so much that I think he's able to pick up a few extra strikeouts, and you just hope that he can keep the runs down. And if that happens, he gets let's say he gets 7 or 8 strikeouts and keeps it a 1 or 2 score game, then you're looking at a very solid fantasy output from Gio Gonzalez, and I see that very possible. So Gio Gonzalez is one of my favorite pitchers on the main slate. And Zach Davies, he's facing Washington. Washington, they've only put up 66 runs and 7 home runs in the past 2 weeks. They strike out at a 23.4% over the past 2 weeks, and I guess you might be able to use him. He doesn't really strike out a lot of people. I mean, he's literally at 5.29 per 9 innings, and he's a guy you could use, but again, he's not a guy I'm really super thrilled about. So we'll move on from there. The next and the last game we have is the St. Louis Cardinals. Michael Wacha facing off with Madison Bumgarner in San Francisco. And Michael Wacha has a 7.66 K9 with a 7.25 ERA. A 7.25. I didn't look. I know it's just over the past month. He was actually doing really well. 2-3 weeks ago, I remember looking at his stats and writing them all down and all that. And he was actually playing really well then. But he's obviously had some very bad games in the past probably 2 or 3 weeks. And I guess you could probably attack him. You could throw out a couple stacks, the giant stacks, and see if it works. San Francisco's not a very great offense, and they're playing in San Francisco, which is not a very good field for hitting. So it probably won't work, but it very well could. So just keep that in mind. Wacha is definitely, he has the highest ERA in the past month of any of the pitchers on the slate, and you could definitely attack him. So like I said, you could give that a shot. Then we have Madison Bumgarner, and he has an 8.73 K9 with a 2.73 ERA over the past month. And St. Louis, they've been striking out at a 22.2 K percentage over the past 2 weeks. And he's got to be one of my other favorite pitchers on the day. So really, as of now, in the main slate, I'd be looking at Madison Bumgarner, Gio Gonzalez. Those would be my favorite guys in the main slate. And let me just look it over real quick and see who you could use elsewhere. The only really other guys that I would consider using would be Eduardo Rodriguez. He would be worth consideration. You could always try the Kyle Hendricks thing, but like I said, Atlanta, the lowest strikeout percentage over the past 2 weeks. It's doesn't look very promising to me. You could attack the Cubs. That would be contrarian, because like I said, a lot of people are going to see kind of what I'm telling you, and a lot of areas they look like they're in a prime position to score a lot of runs, and they did just yesterday as well. So, people might not want to use Sean Newcomb, but again, he could be a guy that could end up having a good day. I wouldn't hang my hat on that. I don't think he's not somebody like I really particularly like. I like him, but I don't like the matchup. So I'm just giving you that option. I'm just letting you know that the Cubs strike out and he strikes people out. So there's that correlation. Other than that, it's a scary matchup. And then really it's just Zach Davies. So I don't know. I would really like to hear what some of the viewers think on this. I was saying yesterday in the wrap up or the recap that I get so wrapped up, I get so caught up in all the stats, and it's like, the stats tell me the story, and I just hope that it comes true. it is what it looks like, and it's not always what it looks like. So I look at some of these guys, and I'm just not sure. Despain against Philadelphia. Philadelphia had been hot lately, but again, not been good overall. And he has a pretty good ERA. Not a high strikeout, but, it was like Cashner yesterday. He's not a high strikeout guy, and I think he put up 6 or 7 strikeouts and held them to like 1 run and 3 hits and put up like 30 points. I mean, if you could do that every day, if you could pick that guy every day, you're golden. I mean, the guy wasn't ranked high. He didn't cost a lot. And you could put together a good offense with, cheap pitching that performs really well and have a shot at taking down a GPP. So I would really like to hear what people think on this matter. You know what I mean? Let me know what your opinions are. If there's anything that you think on the slate that I missed. And, I want to help you, but if you can help me, that'd be great too. So, anyways, I'll move on to the next page, and really I'm just going to talk about, I just went over my pitching. My favorite pitching was Gio Gonzalez, Madison Bumgarner on the main slate, and then just kind of looking at a little bit at Hendricks, a little bit at Eduardo Rodriguez, Despain a possibility, Newcomb a possibility, Davies a possibility. I mean, I don't know. Pitching is not so clear on today's slate, and really neither is hitting. I think it being such a small slate that it just kind of hinders the process of what I do. But anyways, I'll move on to batting since we already speaked on pitching. And really, my favorite stack of the day, Chicago Cubs and Miami. Those are my 2 favorite stacks. And then I also have Boston and Toronto as teams that I would stack. And then I have Philadelphia, New York Yankees, Minnesota, and Baltimore as all teams that I would recommend looking into. There are just situations that I'm not real sure about, but I would definitely look into them. Minnesota could have a good game. Baltimore could have a good game. The Yankees could have a good game. Philadelphia could have a good game. The teams that I expect to have a good game would be the Cubs, Miami, Boston, and Toronto. Those are the guys that I'm looking to stack. So, I hope everyone has a good day today. That you have luck on today's slate. And with that, we will wrap this up later this evening. Again, like, share, comment, let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you guys later. Correlation Nation, I'm out.